Welcome, everybody, to the You Heard Me podcast. This is episode 5. It's episode 5. 5 more to go to 10. And a lot more to go to 100.
That would be the math.
That would be the math. I'm on it today. For those of you that are tuning in or just tuning in for the first time, Hope Gables Canine is a behavior modification dog training company here in Fairfield County, Connecticut. For those of you that are local to Connecticut. And those are for you that are not local to Connecticut. That's why we're doing this. So we can give advice and help you wherever you are with your dog. So welcome. The You Heard Me podcast was developed for the reason of us wanting to help as many people as we can. And that is our goal. And that is what we are going to continue to do to the best of our ability, whether it be via podcasting, online courses, which will be coming soon, or in person, whether that's private lessons or doing a board and train. We do board and trains as well. There's so many ways that we are trying to open ourselves up to help all of you at home. So just a little bit of background of us. This is my beautiful wife, Alyssa, and I make sure to say that in every episode. So I'm trying not to forget all those things. But we have some things that we've been trying to keep consistent per every episode that we do, that being one of them. All right. So
we're going to
get into questions. As a reminder, for those of you that are joined right now, you can ask questions live. You have to be logged in, I believe, with your Gmail account because Google and YouTube are connected. And you should be able to go into the chat box and ask your questions. We did field questions earlier in the week, which we will be answering now. And we also post those on our Instagram. So if you're following us on our Instagram, you could also DM us questions earlier in the week.
Mm-hmm.
And I always just make sure to say that for every podcast because new people are joining. And again, it's a good reminder for everybody on how to find and submit your questions and also ask questions live as well.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay. First question. What are some things I can do to get my dog more excited for training sessions?
More excited for training sessions. I don't have a lot of context on maybe why they're not excited, but you want to figure out what's motivating for your dog. And that's something different for every dog. Some dogs are highly food motivated, but then again, not all treats are going to be as motivating as they're not all equally motivating. So you might have to do some trial and error on, does your dog like this? Does your dog like that? Just like people, not only in the treat arena, but also in the toy arena. You could use toys and play. Play is a big motivator as well. But you want to be careful with play because sometimes play creates too much arousal, and then your dog can't actually focus on training. Mm-hmm. So you want to be careful of that. I don't really know the dog, but I'd be able to, if I knew the dog and I knew their personality, I would probably be able to narrow in on it a little bit more. But how to get them more excited, I would, you could use their food. Or I don't know. Are they food motivated? I don't know. I don't have a lot of information.
High value treats.
Yeah, high value treats. Yeah, going back to my earlier point, beef liver is high value. And if you're using something like what are those biscuits? Oh man, what are they called? The milk bones. Okay, well, maybe your dog doesn't really care about those, but maybe your dog cares about beef liver or freeze-dried beef liver, which honestly we use for we have bags and bags of it, and 2% of dogs we've ever come across don't gravitate to it. So you could try freeze-dried beef liver. It's what we use, and we find 98% of dogs gravitate to it. So yeah.
Okay. Next question. What can I do to create a stronger bond with my dog?
Training is a good one, right? Training is a great relationship builder. Play is just as equally a good relationship builder. Playing one-on-one, playing tug, really good one. You can get a tug toy for dirt cheap off of Amazon. You can get a tug toy. You can get a ball with a tug part of it. If your dog's not really play motivated or toy motivated,
on walks.
Yeah. Training is a big one. And engaging with your dog. And that's why on our last podcast, I was like, don't just go to a dog park and that's their form of, because you're devaluing yourself. What you want to do is bring the value to you.
Mhm.
And that's how you're going to strengthen your bond with your dog, not doing passive exercises. Again, it's fine for dogs to play, and if they have a friend that they get along with, okay, cool. That's one thing. But then you want to equally build in things throughout the day to engage with your dog as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, but do you have a specific brand of treats that you recommend using?
Pure Bites beef liver. I really didn't want to bring this up on this podcast because I don't want to. All right, Costco has freeze dried beef liver for like $8 a bag, and like the Pure Bites are like $30 a bag. So nah, watch next time I go to Costco to get freeze dried beef liver, they're not going to be there, but. Obviously, I want to help all you. And I want to help you save money. So if you have a Costco membership, check out your Costco. $8 a bag. You can't beat it. I mean, $8. I mean, how are you going to beat it? So.
Okay. I heard that if you correct growling, the dog will only want to get more aggressive. Is there any truth to this?
Okay. I'm pausing for a reason because these types of things. Oh, here we go, Nick. These types of, what do you even call them? Myths. There's another word for them. These types of sayings, myths, there's another word, and it's at the tip of my tongue that's bothering me, are repeated and regurgitated over and over and over again. And that's why I'm going to speak very passionately on this. These types of sayings that Alyssa just brought up, right? If I correct growling, it's going to mean my dog's going to want to become even more aggressive. Here's the deal. For everybody at home that hears these things and wonders, is there any truth to this? No. Here is the truth to something like that. And I hear this, and I've seen this online, and it gets repasted and reposted and copy and pasted all over the place. It is to scare you away from correcting your dog for bad behavior. The reason why they get away with saying things like this is because they don't put a date on it. So I can say a lot of things too if I don't put a date on it. So here's the deal. No, you can correct your dog for bad behavior and not have them become, you're not going to develop something that isn't already there. Now, what you could accidentally do is correct your dog in the middle of a reaction, and your dog, you could like agitate them because you were off in your correction timing. Certainly, yes. But are you creating something that wasn't already there in your dog already? No. Yes, you need to be good on your timing with the e-collar. Okay, that's everybody.
Mhm.
But if your dog has aggressive tendencies, you're not going to create aggression by using an e-collar. Never. Okay, it's not going to happen. If you're being responsible, and even hopefully there are no, I really struggle to say this, but I really hope that everybody is being responsible when using these tools. But I can't see somebody just being irresponsible to the point where like they're just coming down the stairs and just using the e-collar for no reason. There's hopefully nobody that exists out there. So, you have to try really hard. And you have to be really not good intentioned to create like issues. And even still, you're not going to create aggression. All right. Again, you have to have responsibility with using these tools, but you're not just going to create something out of thin air. And certainly not aggression. If you're not using the tool properly, if you're not learning the responsible way to use it, could you create a little bit of anxiety and uncertainty? Yeah, sure. Are you going to create aggression out of nowhere? No. And no. So this saying here, correcting growling is just going to make the dog just lash out one day because, we're correcting growling and they're not going to growl anymore, but they're going to start biting everybody in the family. No, that's not going to happen. If they're going to bite anybody in the family, they would have done it it would have been something that they would have done anyway. All these are scare tactics. I don't like them. All right. They're to scare people from correcting their dog for bad behavior. And that's my piece on that.
Okay. How can I get my dog to stop rushing out the front door? She's already escaped once, which was traumatizing for everyone involved, and I'm nervous and double checking our doors all the time. Are there any training solutions?
All right. Yeah. I mean, threshold training. So what you want to do is you want to create a boundary there where your dog knows not to pass. All right. So there's a lot of different techniques and ways to go about doing this. I say in general, if you only have one way to teach something, well, how are you helping as many dogs as possible? So we have multiple ways of teaching this. Well, a good way of teaching this, what you could do is, well, two things. I body block a lot. I don't think a lot of people realize that. But yeah, we use leash pressure in our programs, and that is also a way you could teach leash pressure and release. So that, okay, dog passes a certain point, leash pressure goes away, dog knows to wait at the doorway, good reward. You can do that. You could also body block and use spatial pressure. So what I sometimes do this too is when we're walking up the steps to the door, sometimes I'll put my leg on the step as sort of like the dog is here. Sorry. The dog is here. My leg is like all the way here, but they see it. They see the leg that I'm sort of blocking it as kind of like using that space. All right. And then I'll remove my leg, open the door. All right. And then I'll maybe use some leash pressure if the dog is really incessant on running up the stairs or running down the stairs or whatever. So you might have to use a combination of leash pressure and release and body spatial pressure as well. Okay, but a combination of the two likely is something you can do. And again, we'll have videos on this as well. So yeah.
What is your opinion on trick training? Are there benefits to it?
Yeah, sir. I mean, we the dog, you probably came across this dog, the Aussie that was like would paint with the woman. I think it's a sad story. I think the Aussie ended up passing away, but there was an Aussie on Instagram that used to get millions of followers.
Tesla, the mini Aussie?
No, Tesla was one of them, but the other one, I can't remember what the Aussie's name was, but I mean, that's all she did. She taught the dog like how to paint. She taught the dog like all sorts of crazy. I give her a lot of credit.
Oh, like yoga and all of that.
Yeah, like yoga. It was crazy. I mean, she again, I think the dog passed away. I think it's a sad story, but yeah, I mean, look, that's another way. That is training. Trick training is part of training, but teaching tricks and is not going to rehabilitate bad behavior or a behavior issue. So just don't fall into the trap of like maybe I don't think anybody's doing this, but maybe like let me teach my dog. Let me do more tricks with them, and maybe they'll be better behaved. Not going to happen, but certainly teaching tricks in of itself is a fun activity, and yes, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's a difference between teaching your dog tricks and training your dog.
Yes. Yeah, there's a difference. I mean, it's what is your goal for the training? I think that's really what it comes down to. So, yeah.
Thankful I found your page. We've been dealing with reactivity for years now. Nothing seems to be working. Have gone through multiple trainers. We've tried the e-collar and feel like we've exhausted our options, but maybe we're not doing something correctly. Come to us.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know where you're located, but we have a very effective way of dealing with reactivity. There's not a dog that has come through this program, and I say this very confidently, that left still reacting. Here's the variable though. There's something called associative behaviors, and so what our main role, there's not a dog that's coming here that by the time they leave isn't reacting with us. Let's just put that out there. All right. Here's the variable, right? How many times has the dog practiced that behavior but near their owner's side? And a lot of it is about us helping the owner build confidence in themselves, because that nervousness just goes right down the leash to the dog. So a big part of our program, I won't take on a reactive dog unless I can work with that owner one-on-one. And nobody that's dealing with reactivity should be doing any different. If you are doing board and trains for reactivity, you should be working with the owner. Because a lot of that, it's what the owner is doing or not doing is going to stop that problem. We can take on any dog. We've taken on hundreds at this point. I mean, I'm losing track how many reactive dogs we've actually worked with. I should actually go back and count. Mm-hmm. But it's how confident you are. And it's not just about confidence. It's about timing with your corrections. It's about timing with your rewards. It's about timing of or strategy of when to use heel, when not to use heel, when to use down. Is down too challenging? Maybe let's keep the dog moving. All of that strategy has to be incorporated. So anybody saying like, oh, we can fix reactivity for good. Okay, well, yeah, how are you working with the owner? Because the owner is a huge part of it. So I would say to this individual, yes, you have to, obviously the training needs to be done, and it has to be good quality training, because if you have bad training and bad quality training, then it doesn't matter what the owner does. But if you have good quality training and you have a good trainer that's coaching the owner to continue that good quality training, you're fine.
Right.
But it's an equation. If there was one thing that would have solved Layla's reactivity, and I'm sure you would agree, I would have bought it. And I don't, if like somebody came to my door, I was like, hey, give this to your dog and it'll solve reactivity, I would have bought it. And at the height of when we were struggling, I probably wouldn't have cared how much it cost. I would have bought it.
We would have done anything.
Yeah, we would have done it. So there's no like quick fix solution. It's hard work, and it's doing the work over and over again, and it's not trusting your dog too soon. So, yeah.
I mean, half the training is really training the owner
Yeah.
to continue the training. And
Yeah, so as part of our board and train, that's why we do follow-up lessons. And everybody that's done a board and train with us knows that I'm one call away. Hopefully everybody knows that. I am here, and I'm here to
you do go
help
home
you.
lessons
Yes.
for like
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours where you go
Yeah.
through everything with the owner
Yep.
and
Pickup
show
lessons.
them.
Pickup lessons, follow-up lessons with the owner is so important for something like reactivity, especially when that owner hasn't used any training tools, e-collar, prong collar. A lot of this stuff needs the technique applied for the dog to stop the behaviors. And without that technique, okay, you're still going to have the issue.
Right.
You know, so.
Why do trainers always post videos of them in Home Depot? Am I missing something?
Are you missing something? Well, depends. No. Why do they? Okay. This is a good one.
Area.
Well, no, here's the thing.
Good
I like this. I like this question because I also got tired of seeing trainers in Home Depot and Lowe's and stuff. When we were going through this struggle with Layla, we searched out every piece of training content you can imagine. And a lot of it, is trainers in Home Depot. And you kind of start getting to the point where it's like, are they going to be anywhere else? So that's why you see us. Yes, we will go to Home Depot, Lowe's, what have you. We'll go to stores. But we just as equally make sure the dogs can do this stuff in real life environments, a home, a neighborhood, a park, right? So we're going to all these places, not just like, we're just going to go to Home Depot every day. And I do think that there are trainers that are overdoing the Home Depot thing. Okay, cool. But if you're a trainer and you understand generalization, then you can't just be going to Home Depot every day. Why are they going there? Because it's good distractions. Carts, people, sometimes people bring other dogs in there. It's great for distractions. Don't get me wrong. When you're at the distraction part of training, sure, great environment. You could find just as many distractions outside of Home Depot as well. Yeah.
Saw your last episode on dog parks. My dog definitely developed some bad habits there, and we've been no longer going, but I'm feeling like she needs something to help replace that time. What are some tips you could provide?
Yeah, well, we talked about some of them on the earlier part of the podcast. Find what your dog enjoys, and that might take some trial and error. Find what your dog enjoys. Is there a certain type of you're gonna have to pull out a tug toy, see if they like it. Some of these things you don't know unless you try. So try to play tug with your dog. If your dog gravitates to it, then great. Then that's what you do. Those are one-on-one exercises, of course. And I know we spoke on the last podcast, your dog can still have playtime. It's just, it should be structured, it should be monitored, and it should be with a dog that your dog trusts, respects, etc.
Right.
And also vice versa between the two dogs. So yeah, your dog can still do those things, just not in that setting. So between that, engaging one-on-one, some trial and error, mental stimulation.
I was just going to say a lot of mental stimulation actually helps more than physical activity, right? To tire the dog out.
Well, yeah, I mean, there obviously physical exercise is just as equally important. And again, I hate using this word, but it is a very important balance. You're like a balanced diet, okay? Like I made a joke the other day. I ate Domino's. I think it was like on Sunday. I'm embarrassed to admit, and then I ate a very, very good beet salad the next morning. We talk about a lot of food on this podcast. I'm realizing maybe we should do like a cooking train, or we do have our wine for those of you that do tune in the podcast, we have a rosé coming. So for those of you that like rosé wine, we have a
We should
Cabernet.
drink our wine next week on the podcast.
We could do that. Yeah, so we can pop a bottle of the Cabernet, and we have a rosé coming, and then we have a Chardonnay coming after that. So we're gonna have 3 different varieties. And actually, to Alyssa's point, that's actually not a bad idea. Is we actually might do like a wine podcast, or like a wine club. It's Hope Gables Canine Wine. It's phenomenal. I would not give any of our clients bad wine. We tasted it, hand selected it, small batch. It's not your $9 bottle of wine. It's very good. So we might do like a wine subscription, tie it in with the podcast. I don't know what. I'm sorry, I got an aside here. What was the question? And I was like, I got talking about the wine. What was engaging.
It.
I think I answered it right. I just want to make sure I did not.
Yeah, no,
this
but
person's
this
question.
whole wine thing could get into something.
Well,
here.
see, that's a good. Yeah. Those of you watching at home, if then what happens when people? I don't know. We'll figure it out. We have to flesh this one out, so to speak. But you might be seeing more. I mean, this podcast, we're 5 episodes in. It's going to grow and evolve. And that's a hard part with me is like, I want to evolve everything like over 24 hours. And I think Alyssa knows this about me, where like, I'm like, I get this idea in my head and then I think I can accomplish it in 24 hours. And for those of you at home that can relate to that, take a deep breath. Okay. Rome wasn't built in a day. That sounds cliche.
Steady for a little bit and then.
Yes. It's the steady, consistent, persistent progress. I do know who I'm going to give credit to that. I think his name's David Meltzer. He's like a motivational sales coach, business coach. He says something like the daily, positive, persistence, pursuit of happiness. I don't know. It's all these P's. Okay. But it's true, whether it's in dog training, or it's in life, or it's with accomplishing goals. The daily persistent pursuit, I don't think it's Pursuit of Happiness. That's a movie, but it's the daily persistent pursuit of your potential. I got it. It's the daily persistent pursuit of your potential is what gets you there. Not trying to build Rome in a day.
Right.
It's the daily persistent pursuit of your potential. David Meltzer. Hopefully I'm not butchering that name. I give a shout out to you because I follow you and apparently you're influencing me. And isn't it funny how that works? How you will scroll through Instagram and people you don't even know will just influence you. That's crazy. That's true marketing. And hopefully we're influencing some of you out there in a positive way.
Yes.
Okay.
We have one last question here.
Great.
Is there any hope for older dogs? I feel like we kind of talked about this a few ones ago.
We might have. But I mean, we're going to get similar questions. So I will answer in a similar answer. Is there hope for older dogs? Yes. In fact, we took in a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
I think we took in a 12-year-old dog. I might 11 or 12. Not that it matters.
Yes.
Older dog. Okay. And yes, we took in an older dog. What was the dog's name? I'm having trouble remembering things tonight. I don't remember either. But so we took in the 12-year-old dog. And she did phenomenal. I could have not been more. Oh my God, was that a double entendre? I was so proud of how far she came. And I went into it being like, hey, this dog is like 11 or 12 years old. But we gave it our all. We don't just be like, oh, this dog's older. No, it's like, we're going to see how far you can go and we're going to go at your pace. We're not going to rush you. You are older. But she was like, I'm moving. So you move with me. And I was like, okay, cool. We're going to keep going. And she did awesome.
All in the training technique.
Yeah, it's all in that. It's also understanding the dog and what they're capable of doing and also testing to see like what is your potential at that age. And if I see the dog speeding through things, then I'm going to move at the dog's pace. If I see the dog struggling through things, then we might have to slow things down. We might have to make things easier, but there is a lot of hope for older dogs. And like I said, we took in like 11 or 12-year-old dog and it went great. It went great. I wish I could remember her name and I will remember it. It's at the tip of my tongue, but she did great. And we have a video on our Instagram of that dog. So if you're curious, you can go scroll down and I specifically call out that dog was older. So there's tons of hope for older dogs. There's hope for every dog. And that's, I think, how I'm going to end.
We don't discriminate.
Well, yeah. And that's And that's age is like, I'll take in
Just a number.
I'll take in any dog. I'll take in any dog, any age, any breed, any behavior. And I think people know that about me because I am hopeful. And this is, I think, a good note to end on for this podcast is the reason why the company is called Hope Gables Canine is because when Alyssa and I were struggling with Layla, we were losing hope, right? And I think we brought that up. But even more so, we are very optimistic here for the reason of we've had to go through the process. We've had to go through the struggle, and we know what the other side looks like. Not only do we know what the other side looks like with Layla, but we've seen the other side with all the board and train dogs that come in here. All right, so we've seen the other side over and over and over again. That's why we're so optimistic, because we are not only confident in our abilities, but we're also confident that there is so much hope out there.
We've seen it.
We've seen it, and it happens every month with multiple dogs. And so if you are losing hope out there, I promise you there is plenty of it. You just have to find people that are optimistic, realistic, but also look at the glass half full versus glass half empty. And you have to work with people that are willing to root dogs on, but also take on cases that nobody else wanted to take. We've taken on dogs here that nobody else wanted to take. And we've been able to save dogs. And I'm very proud of that. And we are going to continue to do that. And that's why I speak so passionately, not only because of our personal experience, but because of all the dogs that we've been able to keep in homes from being put down. That's why we take this so seriously. And so I think that's a good note. Sorry, do we have any other questions?
No, that was the last question.
Is anybody that's tuned in, if you have questions, because we are hitting we're around 40 minutes, put your questions in the chat. Again, you have to log in with your Gmail account. If you want to ask some questions, this is the opportunity to do so. We've covered really great ones. And so I'm excited about this. And episode 5, You Heard Me podcast. How did I do this podcast?
Very good.
This is the feedback
Very good.
session.
We're getting better each week.
Yes.
And we're thinking of new things each week. And if anyone has any suggestions,
yes. Yeah.
Not only just questions, but suggestions.
Yep. I think
we'd love to hear them.
I think the wine is a good one.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of people don't know this. We have a Hope Gables Canine wine. It hasn't been fully fleshed out. I mean, the wine is there. It exists. I mean, we've given it to so many of our clients. And if you're a client and you haven't gotten one, let us know so we can make sure we give you one. But I think doing like some sort of wine subscription, wine club, wine something. I think there's something there because we already have the wine developed, and it's so I think there's something there, opportunities to develop and make this even more engaging than it is. So if you have any ideas, to Alyssa's point, send them in. We are very open to feedback. We're open to all sorts of ideas, and we want to make sure that this is valuable for you, because that's really why we're doing this. If it's not valuable, then there's no point in us spending time on it. So thank you. Thank you for everybody tuning in. Thank you for everybody that continues to tune in. And thank you for all of you that reach out during the week saying that you're checking out the podcast, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Did you see that clip from Josie? Josie was a board and train dog that came through our program, and her owners were playing the podcast, and she was kind of like looking around looking for me,
like she recognized Nick's voice.
So that was super cute. So send in all of your like content like that, and we'll repost that as well. So we love you guys. We love our podcast family. We love our Hope Gables Canine family. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend, and happy Easter to all of you who celebrate at home. We will be back next week, next Thursday, every Thursday, 8 p.m., coming to you live on YouTube, streaming on all major platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can stream past episodes. There's many ways. Check out our Instagram at Hope Gables Canine. We always post clips and things like that, and all of our work is on our Instagram. So thank you. Have a great night, and thank you again for tuning in and for your support. We'll catch you next week. Thank you.